watch the robots function at full capability as we hop into this match.
4, 3, 2, 1, match start.
Ooh, looking like that sentry's actually going to be moving for University of Washington. That reminder that it's a 100% autonomous robot. There is no driver controlling that.
Polystar's standard was just hidden behind that barricade. I'm glad it's in there. But you could see what we were talking about, this early strat. The University of Washington is able to come out and deal some initial damage, landing 5 projectiles onto the sentry of Polystar, and now moving on to start firing at that hero while the hero waits in line for the resupply zone.
Getting those early first bloods is imperative for getting
there
those
it is.
level
The sentry
upgrades.
for the University of Washington is fully operational. Both barrels chewing through the health. Ooh, not actually. Firing a lot of projectiles, not landing very many hits at all on Polystar, who's not even spinning. That is underwhelming computer vision from the University of Washington.
It is indeed. That is about, what, 11 plus 50, 61 shots?
61 shots they've landed, probably about 7. There we go.
Still enough to deter.
Their driven hero, their driven standards doing a lot better job, able to land a significant amount of hits onto the hero of Polystar. Still haven't got that first blood, which is a big benchmark here. Polystar hero has 10 projectiles, might be able to fire back at this blue standard from the University of Washington. Knocked out.
Looks like University of Washington was able to secure that first blood. Both of their standards now going to level 2. That's going to put them at a pretty good power advantage. Looks like they're just testing the durability of that invincibility shield. Or not invincibility shield, of that overshield. As you can see, Polytech's base health in the top left corner falling a little bit.
In the cockpits of the University of Washington here, you can see firing, aiming a little high pretty consistently here, but able to get the kill. Knocking out the sentry will remove that overshield and allow them to start firing directly at the health points of the Polystar base.
Double kill coming through for UW. Now that base health is just starting to whittle away as both sentries, or both standards, are trying to use those 17 millimeters to attack the base. Here we go with the cockpit view.
Very
The
nice.
hero will once again be knocked offline. University of Washington exhibiting a similar strategy that they did last year, where they just focus on trying to keep all those robots offline and in dominance of level. And that looks like that's going to be the case, as Polytech is going to be a bit helpless as their base is starting to get torn apart.
So this is where we see double standards start to struggle. Even though they have 2 level 3 standards, the base health is going down quickly. But chat, that's nothing compared to like a level 3 hero.
Ooh, that's still a pretty quick melt.
It's pretty quick, but that a level 3 hero is going to be doing, what, 200 damage per shot?
Well,
and
looks
has
like they
several
had to wait
shots
for that
per
economy
second.
to reset, as there's now 300 gold for the University of Washington, now 200 as they've spent it on getting more projectiles. They have 113 for infantry, or for standard number 3, and for standard number 4, looks like they're going to also get about 89. Bit of an odd number to pick up the ammo for, but it is what it is. Looks like they're going to make another push on the base. That sentry for UW defending their own. Not that it's going to matter, because Polytech is being torn apart by the UW standards.
Polystar has 7 blood bags. They've collected several from that buff point. Let's see if they'll not using them. They are at the reload zone, but their standard is going to leave with only 50 health points remaining, choosing not to use the blood bags. Very
Here's
interesting.
That first person point of view, what the drivers are seeing as they're playing this. Looks like the standards are going to go try to get a refill on projectiles, as that sentry is now taking a few more shots in its own defense. Ooh, and that is actually a knockout from the sentry on the hero. The first sentry knockout, or the first robot we've seen a sentry knock out in this competition.
Very true. You can see the sentry from UW firing a lot. They don't seem to be.
Well, no reason
connecting
to save it for next round.
Yep.
Still has 214 projectiles, ample enough to defend, even if there were Polytech robots in front of them. But it looks like we're going to get a first person point of view as they're going to try to possibly melt the base. Oh, they appear to be out of ammo.
Yeah, it takes a lot of standard projectiles. I believe dealing 5 damage apiece to bases, 10 damage apiece to robots. So 1,500, that's a lot. It's 300 standard projectile hits.
Yep.
So a very dominant blue win from the University of Washington. Great job from them. Now, chat, to be clear here, the University of Washington has done a great job in this match. They've taken the win. It's excellent. Look at that. Look at the damage. Really good. Look at all the kills. Look at all the projectiles fired. But we hold this team to a different standard, right, than we hold our new teams and our younger teams like Polystar. So let's talk the good that will reboot during this ref system initialization.
But we're not going to have to wait long to find out, as this should be the start of the second match between Polytech and UW.
2-1 game start. University of Washington using that same strategy where standard 3 goes straight to the resupply
Their Sentry
zone.
doing a little bit more roaming this time as it's going towards that middle buff point.
They have some different modes, probably. Some different code modes that they can use. Starting to launch projectiles. Looks like they've landed 1, 2, 3. There we go. Now their hit percentage is getting up there. Oh, no.
And that's going to be
Polystar stuck against the wall and taken out.
Both University of Washington standards now having level 2 advantage.
The Sentry of the University of Washington now switching to fire the Sentry of Polystar. It's down to 180 health. But we're switching over to start work on the hero. Now remember, that Sentry is completely autonomous, so this decision to go back behind the barricade, really interesting. It did take 2 damage from running into the wall, so it's not been hit yet.
But that does not matter as a win condition because Polytechnique Montreal's Sentry has completely been knocked offline. Was that a triple kill by the Sentry?
It is. So the University of Washington testing out this this code mode for their Sentry and their standards, simply taking shots at the base and allowing their Sentry to take out the robots as the Sentry fires again at standard 4 and is probably going to switch over here now very quickly to Hero 1 and take it out again for Polystar.
That now is a pretty impressive performance of CV. Being able to scan for targets and move autonomously is a very, very hard thing to pull off.
As the teams are moving autonomously, there are markers on the walls, different letters for different zones of the field to give them some sort of visual reference that they can use for the AI to kind of know where it is on the field. Other than that, teams are going to use different methods. We've seen some dead wheels and other things to help them know where they've gone.
Well, I was just about to make a comment about, surprisingly, we haven't had a projectile fly over to the commentator's desk yet, as one just immediately fell on top of us.
We'll start a collection.
But that'll be a good element to show you guys in the stream later, so you can just get a pretty good picture of how large these projectiles are that they're shooting at each other.
This is the strat I was talking about earlier with you, Matt. I want to see more Sentry aggressive stats. The Sentry starts essentially as a level 3 standard. And so if it pushes forward, you're fighting level 3 versus level 1. You have a strong advantage as long as your AI is good enough. And we've seen from UW that there's definitely is for these young teams. So I'm hoping to see this strat continue. I would love to see their Sentry rush into the bases of some of our higher seeded teams and see that fight unfold.
Absolutely, and the code actually does allow you to communicate with that Sentry, so you're able to talk to it as a driver. And basically, if you're able to actually get the computer to say, hey, follow me, you could be able to have a follow command or a bunch of other things that would be able to work pretty well in your favor in terms of tactics.
The standards for UW now still chewing through the base. You see it right here.
First-person view. You can see that barrel heat indicator as the circle goes around to be completed, and it's kind of just feathering in the red zone.
Their standard is a little under full health. Just barely. I wonder, we'll see on the stat screen if that was dealt by Polystar or if it's just a power limit. You could see they were riding right on the edge of their maximum power limit when we were in that first-person view.
You can also see the spin-to-win strategy being exhibited by all of the University of Washington robots as they're moving around the field, just to be a bit more evasive, especially for those manually aimed Sentry or the manually aimed heroes and standards.
I really like this Sentry mode from the UW. It's not quite as aggressive as I had pitched to you. It's really sitting on that buff point, and it's peaking like we were talking about earlier when someone in the chat asked about the strats.
Very viable product, as it looks like Polytech is going to actually have their base be destroyed by only standards.
It'll work out just fine. They got so many levels so early from their sentry. It also saved them projectiles. So last round we saw them run out of projectiles very frequently. They ran out of gold. They were having issues getting enough standard projectiles to take out the base.
Yeah.
But this time they were able to leverage the 750 free projectiles the sentry comes into the match with to take out robots, to give them that experience and the levels that they got last time using standard projectiles. So again, going to be a big benefit of using an aggressive sentry strat.
Looks like UW's going to take those last 30 seconds as driver practice. A little bit of a kiss on the RoboMaster field with their robots, as it looks like blue standard 3 for UW is about to go and try to take those last shots at the base to knock it completely offline.
The UW Sentry at 588. I'm really intrigued. There's a couple of robots on the University of Washington side that are not at full health and have taken more than 2 damage. The Sentry, frankly, is self-driving, so it may have bumped into a wall 6 times. That's not unheard of.
Definitely not, especially with how much it was moving around. Very impressive showing.
Let's take a little peek here at the end.
Pretty big landslide victory for University of Washington, but that's to be expected from the previous 2 years champion.
All right, total damage allocated to Polystar is 40. So they were able, some of that is from Polystar and not just self-inflicted from the University of Washington, which is good. But definitely a much better showing from the University of Washington this time. That's what I was expecting to see. Much more true to form.
1,100 projectiles of the 17mm variety.
Last round they shot 1,200.